Hare Krishna, beautiful people of the world, and welcome once again to the Soul Ashraya podcast. Soul, because we all have one, and Ashraya, because it means shelter. And we will attempt to seek the shelter of our dear Lord Krishna today on this podcast through prayer, Shastra, and conversation. Conversation means kata, and we shall have Krishna kata on this episode today. I am joined with my fellow devotee, friend, and teacher, Balaram Shakti Das.
Hare
Balaram,
Krishna.
yes. So, Balaram, we're almost done with the third chapter in the Krishna book. And things have gotten interesting. Things in this book have gotten real, I guess would be the term to use. And I am just so grateful to have this opportunity to be able to read this book with you today and to go through it. And hopefully, I don't know if we'll make it to the end of the chapter on this one, but hopefully, uh, something like that will happen. I'm sure something good will happen. So let me go ahead and see if I can bring up the prayers real quick. If you want to say anything, go ahead right now while I'm struggling with the technology. Let me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're all struggling with some form of technology in this world. And we were talking about that before the show. We're all struggling with things and life gets crazy and hectic. But as Jake was saying, the purpose of this show is to seek shelter, to bring ourselves wherever we're at. We can bring ourselves to these prayers, to this Shastra, which is scripture, and have discussion about that. And that is the process of taking shelter, actually. It's that mood of, I am a student, I'm here to learn, you know, let me open my mind and my heart to receive because it's there. And that's all that we have to do is just open ourselves to it and hear and discuss, converse, right? Like that. So that's how
That's
we grab a hold of that spiritual energy that is availing itself to us, right? And so these prayers are to invoke the blessings of the personalities who have brought us this transcendental subject matter to enrich our minds and enliven our spirits and nourish our souls, ultimately to nourish our souls. And that's what shelter means. It's the place where you are nourished,
mm,
right, in every which way. If you don't have a shelter,
mm,
yeah. um, so this is what we're doing here on this show.
mm. Yeah, absolutely. So I've brought up the prayers. Um, the oh, okay, it moves. I
At least it's the italics. It's strange.
Yeah, it's because of the format that I.
Okay, I sent a PDF as well just for that reason. Okay,
Yeah,
next time we know.
I think this is
Now we
the,
know.
but
PDF would not do that. It's okay. Okay.
all right.
It helps me. It's helpful for me when the Sanskrit transliterations are in italics. I don't know why. I guess I'm just used to it like that.
Mm,
And it kind of separates it from the English, so this how to read it. Anyway, okay. So we chant the first one, call and response, and then the rest together.
Okay.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
All right. Okay. All right. So,
Hare, Hare Krishna mantra was messed up too there.
oh, it was on that one?
You, I wasn't looking until the last second there. Looked like it was incomplete.
Oh, oh, it ran off to the second page.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's okay. Okay, let me bring up the text for the book and where we're at in the book. So, yes. So one thing I wanted to say real quick before we get into the book, just very, very quickly, is just to shine a little light on where we are doing this podcast from, the area that we live in, and just to kind of let people out there in the world know that we live in upstate New York. And so in Syracuse, there is an ashram called Mantra Central. And this week, Balaram and I, because he's from this area too, we're just so blessed to be in the presence of some amazing devotees. And I want people to know about that there is such a place in upstate New York where it's run by devotees. It is, if you're ever in this area, they have every single kind of social media outlet that you could possibly, if you just look up, if you just Google Mantra Central, something will come up. And they are constantly having guest speakers. And in this year, particularly, they're going to be going full swing with some amazing guest speakers with, top shelf devotees from around the world are going to be coming to Syracuse or even the Syracuse area and speaking. Balaram, can you just tell the audience real quick about who we saw the other day? The Mataji, her name was
Sita.
Yes, Sita Mataji, uh, amazing for Ram Navimi. Sorry, I just choked on my jaw there. I am so sorry. So, Balaram, if you want to talk about that real quick
You
while
want
I'm
me
up the text.
to say something? Well, I don't know much about I guess it was Keshava Gopal Prabhu had a connection with her. Um, and she comes to America for like a month at a time to preach to youth, apparently, and do programs like this. Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure what you want me to say. Like, these are just bhakti yoga programs. If you haven't been to one, is that what you're looking for? Or if you have been and are looking
Well,
for more programs like to go to?
well, these programs that they're having are, I, it's it's not like a big house, but it's a house that is just brimming with the energy of Krishna consciousness, like 24 hours a day. So it's also kind of like they run like a Airbnb out of it too. So if
Mhm.
you're traveling, if you're a devotee and you happen to be traveling in upstate New York, perfect place to stay. But it's more about the environment that they're creating and
Okay.
how powerful it is. And so we, I mean, they run a program there where every morning they have Mangal Arti every morning,
Yeah.
and usually there's kirtan there going all day long and usually into the night. Sundays, they always have a Sunday program with a Sunday feast. And then with all the guest speakers that they have,
Mhm.
there's always something going on. So it's like a mini temple that you could stay at and just immerse yourself
Yeah.
in kirtan and the association of devotees. And we know that the association with devotees is like cornerstone to Krishna consciousness, having prasad together, praying together, singing, having kirtan together. All these things are just that it's all happening there at Mantra Central in Syracuse every day, every week. And it's just really something. It's something special that they have going on there for sure. Definitely. So yeah,
Yeah, well, I think you just nailed it there. Thanks
yeah,
for sharing that.
yeah.
Yeah, they have a little ashram and it's open for pretty much anyone to stay at, because it's also Airbnb, which that's super rare to have that kind of opportunity, and you just drop in. I mean, it's rare in general. Um, but a lot of ashrams, as far as I know, don't have that kind of facility. I think a lot want to, and probably a lot of them are having something like that. But that's the idea, right? It's an ashram. Like we all need to have the experience of ashram, which is ashraya, right? Which is how to take shelter, like how to bring our whole life to that place where we ultimately surrender, right? That's ultimately what the soul is needing. Its soul is needing to surrender, just as a lover is needing to feel that they can surrender to their beloved, right?
Mm,
That's what love is,
mm,
right? And so that might be happening in one facet of your life, but the soul is needing that,
mm,
and so having loving exchanges with those who are in that same shelter,
mm,
right? And taking shelter and imbibing the shelter and transmitting that, vibrating that, right? That's what they're doing there. That's
yeah,
what they're all about.
yeah.
And yeah, so they have these programs, and the mood there is just so sweet. It reminds me a lot of the programs that my god siblings, along with myself, are having out west. Just these small home temples, that we're nurturing little communities in.
Yeah,
Like that's where it's at right there.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. With with devotee association, home programs have are a key component to all this. When you're in a situation kind of like where you might be, there might not be a real big temple near the area where you live. So maybe there's something going on at a yoga studio or at a college or something like that. If there isn't already something going on,
Mm,
let's just put it out there that maybe start something in your own hometown. Especially, usually yoga studios are very open to, having some kind of kirtan, at least some kind of kirtan, you know. Um, and that's kind of what the situation here in Rochester is right now. But, you know, wherever you live, whatever, this Krishna consciousness has been able to go out into, what is it? Every town and village. Isn't that what Lord Chaitanya had said?
it will go, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And if there isn't a program, start at least a home program and just have some kirtan, have some prasad. You don't have to do anything fancy. You know, we like doing this podcast because it's just like a little something for people to listen to while they're working or driving around or whatever. That's why we're doing this, just to give you just a little taste.
Mm,
But the association of devotees in real life, in real time, live, is really just so important for this whole process.
mm, yeah.
So,
Yeah, and having the full experience, just so indispensable. It's like, we have our yoga studio program here in Rochester, but it's not nearly the same because we don't have prasad. I mean, that's a big thing,
yeah.
right? It's like we might have so many other things, but it doesn't quite, bring you to the like that experience of like I'm home, I'm
Mm,
with my family,
mm,
you know. There's a time at night where it's like, we gotta, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here,
yeah, yeah,
you know.
yeah. Well, I just wanted to just
Yeah.
let
Yeah, and
people.
then that'll, we should, yeah, to visit these places. Thank you for sharing about it, because then that will inspire how we can make our home a temple, and then we can do, we had last night, here at my parents' house, just very simple program. I just invited a few people, and we just did the thing that we
Yeah,
do.
yeah,
It
yeah,
doesn't have to be fancy, of course, with like Mantra Central, Mantra Oasis out in Tucson, it's becomes more elaborate, because we bring deities into the house and really like bring the temple atmosphere like full
yeah,
throttle.
yeah,
That's where you really get, you know, spiritual potency flowing through.
yeah,
So yeah, they're doing a great thing there.
yeah, yeah. Okay, well, I have got the text up. Let me go ahead
Great.
and share that real quick here. There it is. So we are expanding. Okay. So I don't know, did you want to go over what we read on the last one real quick? Just a quick recap. Mother Sita was praying.
What was the last paragraph we read? Because I was that the one we said we wanted to reread?
The last paragraph was after many millions of years when Lord Brahma
Hmm.
comes to the end of his life. Do you want me to keep on going?
Um, okay. I mean that, yeah, it's pretty esoteric stuff there.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, why don't we pick up from the next paragraph?
Okay.
We've talked about those things before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. So the next
Well, no,
paragraph,
we read this beginning from the moment up to the duration of the year. We read that.
did we?
Yeah. Yeah, I have that in my notes.
So right here, all the
Mhm.
conditioned souls.
Right.
Yeah, they must be 100% professional. Thank you, viewer, for coming to the circus. All right, I'll pick it right up right here.
Okay.
All right. All the conditioned souls are continually fleeing from one body to another and one planet to another, yet they do not get free from the onslaught of birth and death. But when one of these fearful living entities comes under the shelter of your lotus feet, he can lie down without anxiety of being attacked by formidable death. This statement by Devaki is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita by the Lord himself.
Mm.
There, the Lord says that even after traveling all over the universe, from Brahmaloka to Patalaloka, one cannot escape the attack of birth, death, disease, and old age. But one who enters the kingdom of God, the Lord says, is never again obliged to come into the material world. I feel like we read that the last time, but
Maybe.
but
We might have read that and been like, we need to reread that.
yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely.
So that's Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, text 16. Yes. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery, wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, Arjuna, never takes birth again.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, the point here is that is a very dramatic word, fleeing from one body to another, one planet to another. Yeah, it's like trying to get free of the onslaught of birth and death. We're all moving around in this life. We have experience of this life, and that is a microcosm of what the soul is doing in its embodied existence,
Mm,
right? So if you don't fix the root of that problem in this lifetime,
mhm,
then you're just going to perpetuate that
yeah,
cycle. It's like it's not a matter of belief, in karma or reincarnation. It's like these are just laws, and if you investigate your own consciousness, you'll experience that that is what is occurring, that you are trying to escape from fear and chase after pleasure, right? We're all trying to do that. And so there are these, the Vedic description is that there are grades of planetary experiences, and we even have those or representatives of those on this planet. And because of that, we're able to sow seeds of karma, because we have the full menu here, of how we want to live. Anyway, that's one way of looking at it. Um, and so from Brahmaloka to Patalaloka, that's like from heaven to hell and everywhere in between,
mm,
you know, these conditions are there, that we can seek after those heavenly planets and try to avoid the lower planets, but you can't escape birth, death, disease, and old age. So we need to enter into the kingdom of God. And how do we do that? We need to get real with ourselves, like get present, right? Stop trying to escape, like be here where you are and take shelter of the Lord, right? We were talking about this, beginning of the show, and here it is. Devotee is saying that when one comes under the shelter of your lotus feet, right? So that's what Ashraya means. The lotus feet, that's
Mhm.
a the representation in the Lord's body of the shelter that he's giving through what we're doing here, through what is going on, the ashram, right? The ashram means that place where we come under the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, ergo the Lord himself, and the Lord's mercy and so forth. Because we're serving, because to take shelter means to engage in service. So that's like what's happening. It's like we're traveling one place to another, constantly trying to, you know, escape fearful conditions because our universe revolves around number one, right? Numero uno, myself. But service takes you outside of yourself. And like that is how we break out of these cycles. You know, it's like probably all of us, if we're adults here, have gone through a period in our life where we're just like stuck, or at least someone definitely who's just kind of like stuck in a rut,
Mm.
right? And like what's happening, it's like they're in their head and they just can't break out of some cycle that they've, set themselves into, you know. So there's really only one way out. And it's like you got to get over yourself and engage in service. Like, okay, you're not perfect. No one's expecting you to be perfect, but you have to figure out what are your gifts, what do you hear, what do you have to give, and what is being presented to you as your um prescribed duties, as the Bhagavad Gita would say, right? What are your prescribed duties? Like, Jake, you've got kids, so you got to take care of your kids. Like, somehow or other, you got to get over yourself and do the needful, you know. And anyway, that's what's going on here. And that service is meant to be in the mood or in the mode of spiritual consciousness, that I'm not just serving one person, for this reason or that or the other, which is still revolving around me. They're my children, my responsibility, whatever. It's no, these are your children, Krishna, right? And I can bring my consciousness to you. So somehow or other, we have to make that connection. Um, and this book will take us through that, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Here, I'll read on a little more. Therefore, my lord, I request you to save me from the cruel hands of Kamsa,
Mm.
the son of Ugrasena. I am praying to your lordship to please rescue me from this fearful condition, because you are always ready to give protection to your servitors. The Lord has confirmed this statement in the Bhagavad Gita by assuring Arjuna, you may declare to the world, my devotee shall never be vanquished.
There's the process right there. We hear these prayers, we should be repeating them in our heart, you know, like if we can come into resonance with what Devaki is saying, you know, simply by hearing these prayers, but definitely, right, the essence here is to imbibe, right, to like bring our consciousness to the place where these prayers are made. Right? Isn't it?
Oh
Isn't
yeah.
it, Jake?
Oh yeah.
Like, what's going on inside of you when you hear these prayers?
I for me, hearing these prayers is just, this is probably some of the most potent scripture. And I realized that in the Krishna book, I guess what would be considered to be the real scripture would be straight from the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Krishna book is kind of a summary of what is in the Srimad Bhagavatam. I don't know how you would compare it, but from the Bhagavatam to what we're reading in the Krishna
Pretty
book,
direct. If you go to the actual verses, like it's pretty much each paragraph is like a verse.
I and that's what I surmised,
Right.
just so people know, you know. So these are just so potent, you know, from Krishna's parents, like seeing him for the first time, and explaining in very plain English who he is and why he is and what he's doing, and just coming to him. And it's actually about to get pretty crazy here in a minute. This is really just some of the most potent scripture. This is what I would consider to be like deep, like a deep cut on an album, like that one song on your favorite record that is like just, it's never going to be played on the radio, but it's like super funky and you just love it, and it's like they kind of put it out for like the fans that really know, that's that's the feeling that I get from this text.
Wow.
Yeah, that's it exactly, pretty much.
Wow.
But let's keep on reading.
Well, I know I have to riff on that little because it's like what's going on with those bands. It's like they're, some people call it like the muse, right? When you're in that zone, right? Where you're like feeling the source of your inspiration and you're just so deeply in tune with that and so deeply expressive with that that some beautiful sound comes out, right? I mean, I'm not a musician by any stretch. I was an athlete always growing up, but I imagine it's got to be something like that, right?
Yeah.
And so the same thing is happening here with Devaki. And like you said, this is like the insider scoop,
Yeah.
of like what's going on, like the deep cut, like what's really, that juice in there, in that relationship with the muse, in that relationship, her relationship with the Lord. It's like if someone, sees God face to face in the flesh appear to them as a small baby and, like, please, like, accept me into your life. I want to like, it's like, wouldn't you want to hear from that person? Like, what? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what this is to me, it's really like, this is really some of the, like I said before, just very potent, very potent. So,
All right. Yeah. Keep going.
yeah. While thus praying to the Lord for rescue, Mother Devaki nonetheless expressed her motherly affection. I understand that this transcendental form is generally perceived in meditation by the great sages, but I am still afraid because as soon as Kamsa understands that you have appeared, he might harm you. So I request that for the time being, you become invisible to our material eyes. In other words, she requested to the Lord to assume the form of an ordinary child. My only cause of fear from my brother Kamsa is due to your appearance. My Lord Madhasun, oh, I'm
Madhusudana.
Madhasunan Sudana. I wish that Kamsa may not learn that you are already born. Therefore, I request you to conceal this four-armed form of your lordship, which holds the four symbols of Vishnu, namely the conch shell, the disc, the club, and the lotus flower. My dear Lord, at the end of the annihilation of the cosmic manifestation, you put the whole universe within your abdomen. Still, by your unalloyed mercy, you have appeared in my womb. I am surprised that you imitate the activities of ordinary human beings just to please your devotee. That's
Wow.
what you call, you know, that's what,
Let's
yeah.
yeah, let's pause there because this is the end of of their prayers. And this is a whole different note here. Um, as far as there's this very paradoxical thing occurring right here. Are you picking that up?
Yeah, this is actually, yeah, me,
It's
me,
like she knows that he's God, and yet paradoxically she's afraid for him out of motherly affection.
yeah, it's so funny because, like, here, here, put the sheet on real quick. I'm afraid of my brother coming in here and trying to kill you. It's like, this is like, I know it's amazing. It's amazing. But I guess it also speaks to like just the fear that Kamsa has.
Mm,
Like, do we ever get fear in our lives that's so great that we think that God can't take care of it?
right. Totally. Yeah, I was reading the commentary in the Bhagavatam Prabhupada wrote last week on these verses, and he was speaking on the ISKCON movement, the Krishna consciousness movement, and how sometimes devotees can be afraid. I mean, just anyone,
Yeah.
right? Anyone who's putting their life in God's hands, there still will be causes for fear, for doubt. There's nothing wrong with doubting the Lord. That's a natural part of being on a spiritual path. Like that's going to be there. Doubt will be there until like the very, very last minute, you know,
Yeah.
um, when you become completely, purified. Um, so yeah, like sometimes this happens for devotees that um, we're afraid, that maybe, you know, our life might not be in the Lord's hands. Like maybe something could still happen to it. We know, maybe it's like theoretically we know that the Lord is protecting us. He's protecting our movement, right? As Prabhupada is speaking on, that this Krishna conscious movement is in the direct care of Lord Chaitanya, Sri Krishna.
Mm.
And yet still, it's like some really dark things can happen, and threatening things can happen. But what I am understanding is, while there's a few things going on, it's first of all, we have to do our part, right? We can't just sit back and be like, okay, you take care of it, you've got it taken care of, I don't need to do anything. It's like, no, we need to do our part, um as servants. But also he's wanting to relish the bhava, the the rasa, with his devotees, that Devaki has this motherly affection for him and he wants to taste that,
Mm.
and so he will create this situation very intense. On the outside, it's like, if this is under your control, why would you put your mother through that? Like, why would you put her in a prison of her brother,
Mm.
who's like threatening pain of death
Mm.
on their children? But it's like, well, that's a pretty intense situation. It's like, wouldn't you want to watch a movie like that? Right? you can't say that you aren't attracted to that rasa, because we are. Isn't that an interesting point? Like, we are attracted to these dramas, these very intense situations. Like, I don't want to go through it myself, but I want to see and feel that emotion that comes out of that. So that's what Krishna is one. And but for him, it's real. It's not just a movie. It's like it's very real for him, you know.
Yeah.
So that love is there, and that is the most important thing. And that is what you're going to find at, you know, you if you read through this book, you will find that this is like broadcast, that this is the supreme absolute truth is rasa. Like there is nothing higher than that. Like this book will churn that out. Like that the Lord in his original supreme form, his only interest is in deeper and deeper rasa. So that's all he's doing. Right? If you want to know what is God up to, you know, what is that eternal transcendental being interested in, right? Because again, like as we discussed last week, don't try to act or don't try to see God yourself. Act in such a way that God wants to see you,
Mm.
right? That is that is the that is our method, right? If you try to see God, it's like, well, good luck. You know, try to see the president of the United States, good freaking luck. But if you act in such a way that the president is like, I am keenly aware of your activities, I want to see you, come to my office, boom, all the doors open. You try to open each door by yourself, forget about it.
Yeah.
So we have the prerogative and the empowerment, actually, when we enter the mood of service and we take shelter, we render service to guru, sadhu, and shastra. We receive their empowerment to render service and to act in a way that's pleasing to Krishna, because bhakti yoga, which is devotional service, is what is pleasing to Krishna. And then he will be attracted to us and he will directly exchange that rasa. And when he directly accepts your bhava, your emotions, when he accepts those in your heart, your life is complete. Your life is perfect. You will experience transcendental bliss. The entire rest of the world will melt away.
Mm.
Right? It's like that is the perfection of life. That is what the soul is needing and craving, and that is what we can have when we um, develop this transcendental consciousness.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. 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 Breaking it down.
Yeah. So okay, so she just made her prayers, right? So the the devotee has just offered herself to Krishna. She has acted in a way that is very attractive to Krishna, right? And so now we're going to hear Krishna's response. What does Krishna um think about this?
Yes. On hearing the prayers of Devaki, the Lord replied, my dear mother, in the millennium of Svaya Manu, my father Vasudeva was living as one of the Prajapatis. His name at the time was Satupa, and you were his wife named Krishni.
Krishna.
Krishni. At that time, when Lord Brahma was desiring to increase the population, he requested you to generate offspring. You controlled your senses and performed severe austerities by practicing breathing exercises of the yoga system. Both you and your husband could tolerate all the influences of the material laws, the rainy season, the onslaught of the wind, and the scorching heat of the sunshine. You also executed all religious principles. In this way, you were able to cleanse your heart and control the influences of the material laws. In executing your austerity, you used to eat only the leaves of the trees which fell on the ground. Then, with a steady mind and controlled sex life, you worship me, desiring some wonderful benediction from me. Both of you practice severe austerities for 12,000 years by the calculation of the demigods. During that time, your mind was always absorbed in me. When you were executing devotional service and always thinking of me within your heart, I was very much pleased with you, O sinless mother. Your heart is therefore always pure. At that time also I appeared before you in this form, just to fulfill your desire. And I asked you to ask whatever you desired. At that time, you wished to have me born as your son. Although you saw me personally, instead of asking for your complete liberation from
Mm.
material bondage, under the influence of my energy, you asked me to become your son.
Let's just read the next paragraph real quick as well.
Okay. Yeah. They kind of go together. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, in other words, to appear in the material world, the Lord selected his mother and father, namely Krishna and Sutapa. Whenever the Lord comes as a human being, he must have a mother and father. So he selected Krishna and Sutapa to be his mother and father perpetually. And on account of this, neither Krishna nor Sutapa could ask the Lord for liberation. Liberation is not so important as the transcendental loving service of the Lord. The Lord could have awarded Prishni and Sutapa immediate liberation, but he preferred to keep them within the material world for his different appearances, as will be explained in the following verses. On receiving the benediction from the Lord to become his father and mother, Sutapa and Prishni retired from the activities of austerity and lived as husband and wife in order to beget a child who was the supreme Lord himself.
Mm.
So yeah, that paragraph kind of explains in a very calm and gentle way the mind-blowing paragraph before it. So yeah, so the I just wanted to ask you about this. In the very first line here, it says the millennium of Svayam,
Swayambhuva Manu.
yeah, Swayambhuva Mano. What does that mean? What is that?
Yeah, so the Manus are the progenitors of mankind. Some people reason that Adam and Eve are a Manu or something akin to that. They're not the first created beings in the universe. They're the first humans um, in the solar system. And they have what are called, oh gosh, it's Manvantar, something like that. Anyway, it's um a cycle of 14, if I'm not mistaken, 14 yuga cycles that they reign over, that is their lifespan. Is 14 times 4,320,000 years of earthly calculation. It's said in here 12,000 years by calculation of the demigods, um,
Yeah.
which, okay, it, I'm not super mathematically gifted for those calculations, but I want to say that's that would have been like half of that time. Um, yeah, it'd be nice to have, maybe Vargas would probably know, because it's like 1 year here is like a day for the demigods. And okay, it's 1,000 years is one actually, yeah, 12,000 years is one cycle, is one yuga cycle. So they live for 14. So for one of those 14 yuga cycles, they practice severe austerities. That is my best. That is my final answer. That's what I'll say for now.
Right, gotcha. Okay,
Um,
so um
okay, so that's that. Okay, so that Swayambhuva Manu, that I believe is the first Manu of the day of Brahma. So in Brahma's day, there are maybe it's okay,
oh
maybe what it is in Brahma's day there are 14 Manus. So each one lives not for 14, but each one lives for 71-ish,
mm,
about 71 cycles. Okay, so it's like 1/70th of their lifespan, which still, it's a long time.
yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they were situated on the earth. So it's a very long time. It's still, yeah, it's still 4 million years. Chop it up however you want. It's 4 million years.
Yeah.
Um, and so they reign at different periods. So within the Srimad Bhagavatam itself, there are accounts from different Manus, and it's very complicated. You just kind of don't worry so much about that. There is a PDF that I have, at least a picture of a poster actually, that shows like our understanding of where all of these avatars took place. So
Mm.
Manus are also considered a type of avatar, Manvantaras. Um, Man, no, avatar, Manvantar. Okay, yeah, Manvantar. Uh, anyway, yeah, they appear throughout the cosmic cycle and are the progenitors of mankind. So the millennium of Swayambhuva Manu is like his reign of 71 um, times 4 million
Mm.
or times 12,000 celestial years.
Yeah.
But anyway, very, very long ago,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
millions and millions of years ago,
Yeah.
many millions of years ago.
Yeah. So
So that's the first thing. Okay.
with with
What
these,
else?
okay, I mean, we can come at this in so many ways, but so Krishna knew who they were before they knew who they were, is what he's saying. And
Yeah.
they performed all these austerities for thousands of years.
Hmm.
And but I guess what I'm getting from this is Krishna knew you before you knew you, and you, although you're not performing austerities for thousands of years, you
Hmm.
are still performing austerities in your own in this realm that we're in now, in this dimension that we're in this time frame that we're in. We are trying to please the Lord and perform austerities. So the reciprocation can happen, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So then, with steady mind and controlled sex life, you worship me. Life hashtag life goal, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So even though they
Hmm.
are who they are and they still exist, they are existing right now.
Hmm.
Krishna knew them. They did austerities for him. He gave them what they wanted. There was a reciprocal relationship going on. We are still doing the same thing now in a very microscopic sort of, in this age that we're in and with
Hmm.
everything going on. How fortunate we are to know who Krishna is and to perform the austerities that we're capable of performing, namely chanting the holy names through prayer, meditation, with your japa mala, and other things that we do too. But all the things that we do as far as austerities go just point to a higher taste. Just lead us in a direction where we're raising our standards as human beings. That's all. It's nothing, it's not crazy. It's just doing things that are clean, that provide you peace of mind, that focus your mind on spiritual matters in this world that we're living in that's just awash with Kali Yuga is what? It's just awash with turmoil and things going wrong all the time. That's all it is, an ocean of faults. So, yeah. We're almost at our time for
Well, there's a deeper point here I want to get into.
absolutely go ahead.
I'll pull oh well, I have it here. Well, anyway, yeah, it's like we read about these austerities. You can leave it off. We read about these austerities, and it's like, can the same results occur for us in this age? Because the tapasya, the austerity that was described there, is practically impossible.
Yeah.
I mean, eating only the leaves that fall off of trees, right? Are you kidding me? That's your food. Like like show me one person who can do that for one day. What to speak of a week? What to speak of, thousands of years? We
I
don't.
would have a stack of leaves this big, I bet. Just a huge, like, I gotta eat.
Okay. So they yeah, in our mind we could just like pretend like that's possible, but um there's no way. So they were able to see Krishna in person, like Krishna actually manifested. So they did, and okay, so like you were saying, you're trying to get a higher taste, you're trying to, live a clean life, you know.
Yeah.
This is saying, what really needs to occur is you need to um disconnect your mind from that gear of the sex drive, right? Shift out of, sex drive into spiritual drive, right? I don't know if you drive a manual, it's got the, different gears written on it.
Yeah.
One, it's like a one, two, there's an R, and then there's
Yeah.
an SD, and then there's just the D, right? So you got to get it out of SD to get it out of sex drive gear into normal drive.
Yeah.
Don't put it in reverse. Definitely, you're moving forward, so you put it in reverse, you're going to grind a whole lot of gears,
I
right?
thought the R was for racing. It's not? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Don't try that at home, kids.
Let your parents handle the stick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, we gotta, because those other gears aren't conducive to what we're trying to do in spiritual life. It's like it's there. The gear is there, you know. Don't misuse it. It doesn't mean don't use it, just don't misuse it because, it's a distraction. So what the verse is saying, what the paragraph here is saying is they didn't let those things distract them and they lived a very clean life in order to meditate purely on the Lord. Now, the important thing here for us to understand is that same meditation is being made available to us here, that they went through all the tapasya. It's just like we are saying about the movie. It's like we want to watch the movie because like we don't want to go through that experience. We want someone else to go through the experience, and churn that rasa for us.
Hmm.
Same thing, same exact thing is happening here. Devaki and Vasudeva in their previous birth, they put in the work, and now the fruit of that is made available to us transcendently.
Hmm.
Now, we also have to do the work, right?
Yeah.
You know, It's a choice. It's a personal choice if you want to invite that love into your heart, you know. And like you're saying, we also need to cultivate austerity in this life. We're also doing that. Um, but the rules of engagement have changed, right? To get into those gears of transcendental consciousness is now very simplified. What in previous ages took thousands of years of austerity now is available in a very wonderful simplified form. And what is that? Chanting of Hare Krishna,
Yeah.
chanting of any names of God, but particularly if you want to go deepest, chanting of Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's our,
yeah,
that's kind of our ticket in the age that we're in. That's kind of like the golden ticket in this age, because things are so far from God. We are literally the furthest, so because we're the furthest, there's that mercy. And it's just
mhm.
so wild to think that we have past lives that we don't
This is a
remember.
new thing. Yeah.
You know, these people aren't the only people alive. We all have this. We were all something else at one point. Maybe not the, well, maybe it is. Maybe not the best thought to end the show on, but then again, maybe it is. We can give our audience a little bit of homework in between episodes to just meditate
Mhm.
on the fact that we were all in a different form at some point. What form? We don't remember. Why don't we remember? Because we don't want to remember the pain from the last form. Because um, we, I guess it would
Well,
be,
we had the desire to experience a life like this, and the
and you
only way to
chose it.
facilitate that is
You chose it.
forgetfulness.
Yeah.
It's like the child wants to be, you know, a crane operator. Okay, you give him a sandbox and say you can pretend to be this. He has to forget that he's a child, and he gets to sit on daddy's lap, or like to drive the car. It's like, okay, well, you have to forget that I'm actually driving the car, and you pretend that you're the driver. Child's able to do that because his imagination. And we can do that in the spiritual world too. Krishna will give us those experiences, but we have to consent to being his child in a sense, right? Isn't that interesting? Like we have to consent for him to be a part of the play, that Leela. We have to say, yes, I want to be in your Leela. You're driving the car. I'm just pretending, but it's still fun for me. But if you say, no, 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 I don't need you, dad. Do your kids ever do that? They
You know,
will.
oh, I know,
We
but
all did, when we were
yeah,
teens.
yeah. I'm just thinking of how I was when I was a kid, and forget about it, you know? Yeah, you know.
But we have also past lives, not all just past lives where we're cultivating desires to live independently and selfishly. We're also doing past lives of tapasya.
Mm.
We have also sacrificed in our past, and Krishna never forgets that. So any little thing that you do, we have to understand this is, I mean, that we have to meditate on this. We have to make this our homework.
Yeah.
That everything that we do is setting up our future, setting up our future births. It's setting up our future day. What you do today influences what happens tomorrow, and not to make it super heavy. I mean, sometimes we need to get heavy with ourselves, think about it. But the real point is it's not to like make you feel heavy. It's to um, give you inspiration, encouragement that, okay, even if you do 100 wrong things, or you're not perfect in so many ways, but if you do one thing, that's pleasing to Krishna, that can change a whole lot. If you just,
Mm.
you know, write a little note to someone you love.
Mm.
That can change their day. Just little baby steps, right? We talk about this. It's like the little things, just little baby steps, bit better each day. Just, and those gradually will turn the tide until you're just like a walking being of love. You're just like walking, breathing, talking, vibrating, love light.
Lovely. Love
And
me.
you can live in that eternally. You can be as weird as Jake is.
Yeah. Nah. I try so hard not to scare people away every single episode. I try so hard.
It's not going to happen. You're
I
going
know, scare them away, one way or the other. Scare them away, Jake. Oh my goodness! So good episode. We got a lot read. We got a lot read on this one. I'm very pleased with that. Um, Please like and comment, subscribe to our channel. All these things that you can do with your computer internets. And thank you for watching us and for being able to receive um, knowledge and wisdom from the scripture and from Lord Krishna. And most of all, thank you for putting up with our quirkiness. Balaram, should we end the show chanting the Maha Mantra 3 times?
Yes, sir.
All right. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
All right. Thank you once again for checking us out. We are the Soul Ashraya podcast, and we will see you next time.